We're all desperate to win this week.
We're not chasing perfection in terms of 16-0. We're chasing Lombardis.
We are 8 hours and 8 minutes away. And is 8 enough? Old TV reference. Ryan Clark joins us, the Super Bowl champion, played for the Steelers, been a part of so many great Ravens-Steelers rivalries. Here we go. 8 and 8 away, Rye. What are your thoughts on how the NFL has handled this, and if we finally, mercifully, might get to kickoff?
I mean, we get it now. We could get it at Christmas. I mean, who knows? But when you look at the way the NFL has handled this, I don't necessarily know if you can critique it. I don't necessarily know if you can be critical of it, because it seems that they're trying to keep people safe, that they're trying to keep COVID-19 contained. And if that's their goal, if that's what they're focused on, then that's the right goal. Then that's the right way to move forward. And when you look at what's going on for the Baltimore Ravens, it's been positive test after positive test, even up until yesterday, where even people like Dan Graziano are saying that there are Baltimore Ravens who weren't necessarily comfortable with traveling. And so the NFL has to find a way to play this game eventually. But the fact that it's been postponed in hopes of having the most healthy and safe environment for their players is the right thing to do. And so if you got to watch football at Wednesday, at least Central Time at 2:40, then that's what you do. You sit in front of your TV, you grab some popcorn, and you watch it.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin is presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests join us here on the Shell Performance Line. Hey, RC, do you think the Steelers are kind of like getting the bad end in this situation?
Well, I mean, it seems that way, obviously, because most of the things are going on in Baltimore. Also, you saw what happened to the Pittsburgh Steelers earlier this year in Tennessee. I mean, it's just with Tennessee, it's just the luck of the draw, man. Like, it just happens to be the Pittsburgh Steeler week, and you have to deal with it. When you look at the way the CBA was set in place, when you look at the protocols that were put in place and the requirements that were put in place for COVID-19, this is part of it. You are subject to it, even if it's not running rampant in your building. And that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers are dealing with. I do find it, I don't know if ironic is the right word, that, you know, the Pittsburgh Steelers were tweeting and they were all upset about people not doing the right thing. And then the one Pittsburgh Steeler that you want to get COVID-19 the least, James Conner, test positive. And so I think that we all have to be extremely sympathetic. We all have to be extremely understanding about what's going on with people. And yes, they had a strength coach who was doing stupid stuff. And I feel like he should be punished, and the Baltimore Ravens should be punished. But the Pittsburgh Steelers have to know that they're doing what is in the best interest of the health and safety of the players as it pertains to COVID-19. So continue to get ready, continue to push your schedule. Mike Tomlin, continue to preach, as you always do, about winning the game at hand, and that's the way you move forward.
I feel like Pittsburgh hadn't played in like a month, even though they've played here recently.
I feel like it.
It certainly feels that way, RC. Let me ask you this. How do you think they're going to play? I was almost said tonight, because I'm thinking at night. But how do you think they're going to play this afternoon at 3:40, I think it is?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll play well. I think the one thing that Coach Tomlin always does is helps you understand the moment. It helps to me that it's the Baltimore Ravens, though, that it's a team that you don't really like anyway. It's a team that you respect, but you don't have this admiration for them in the sense of a team that you care about. Like people in the Steelers building, although it's a brotherhood and they want people to be safe from COVID, they don't care that the Baltimore Ravens have those problems. They're probably happy that they do, and they want to make them more miserable. They want to add to that, and that's going to be the talk going around the building, and it's going to be about domination. Keyshawn, you know how it is, man. When sharks see blood in the water, they attack, and there's blood in the water in Baltimore. They weren't playing well before you lose Lamar Jackson to COVID, and now you have these things happen. You push the game back. They're going to want to make the Baltimore Ravens pay for everything that they feel the Baltimore Ravens have put on them, and we'll see that on the grass at 3:40.
RC, give me the real talk like you give it to me when we're at the DoubleTree, all those old school days. What the hell is going on in Philadelphia with the quarterback situation, man?
Bro, Doug Peterson doesn't know, Jay. I can promise you he doesn't know. I can promise you Doug Peterson didn't have a plan for this. The only person in the world that's as close to a bigger fan of Carson Wentz as Doug Peterson is Dan Orlovsky. That's the two people in the world that you would not have been able to convince that Carson Wentz would play this way. I don't think Doug Peterson was all on board with the Jalen Hurts draft. And so now he has a guy who he thought would be great, a guy who finished looking like an MVP last year with backups, and you have a backup quarterback that you draft in the second round that you don't necessarily think could play quarterback right now. And so now that you heard him early on in the season, right? If we go to Jalen Hurts, that means we're giving up on the season. If you bench Carson, he never thought Carson would continue to play this bad. And so when you hear him talk this week and he's like, well, you wish Jalen could get some reps and get some continuity, and then it's because he don't know, y'all. He is at a point where he has no idea how to fix what's going on with Carson Wentz, but he also knows he's stuck with Wentz for at least 2 years, and if Wentz doesn't work, he's fired, and he still doesn't believe in Jalen Hurts enough to say if I put him in the game, he could save me. The dude has no way to go, man. He's in between a rock and a hard place, and that hard place is going to get him fired because he needs to figure this out.
Let me ask you this real quick, though, Ryan. Is Doug the right man for this particular job? Because I've always said when a coach takes over for a team in his first year, it's always a honeymoon, magical. But over time, they take on the personality of the coach, and you can kind of see what that coach is. Is he the right guy? I know he won a Super Bowl, but is he the right guy?
Yeah, see, and you see, Key, that's the hard part, right? It's hard to say that a dude that won the Super Bowl isn't the right guy for the team. What it seems is, though, that Doug Peterson isn't the right guy for this team. He was the right guy to have a young Carson Wentz and have a Nick Foles on the bench, but he isn't the guy that's continued to morph as this team has changed. He hasn't adapted to the new rendition of the Philadelphia Eagles, to the team that now is going to be cap heavy, to a team that now has a quarterback who takes up a lot of the salary cap. And so I don't know if Doug Peterson is right for this team. I know in this moment, he doesn't seem to be the coach to get them out of where they are right now, and that's something they're going to have to look at in the offseason.
That's a fair point, because at the end of the day, Howie Roseman, the executive vice president, essentially drafted Jalen Hurts because of Carson Wentz's injury history, not his history of playing terribly. That came after the pick, not before. They're between a rock and a hard place here for sure. Ryan, thanks so much, and enjoy Wednesday afternoon football.
Yes, that is correct.
All right, Ryan.
Ryan Clark with us and now gone. Okay, so that's the big thing, right? When they drafted Hurts, they said, look, Wentz is a little brittle. He can't play the whole way. They spend a second-round pick. They certainly didn't draft him because they said, man, Carson's really decelerating. He's turned into a shell of himself. That's obviously not why they drafted Jalen Hurts. But now, because that's the situation, that's where they find him really quick. I want to hear from Doug Peterson. He was asked point blank yesterday, because people are wondering, if your season is flailing away, you still have a chance at a division. What are you doing? You're running in place. Why not play Jalen Hurts? 2 snaps Monday night, change the tide of your season, get a little momentum, try something fresh. Straight up asked if he was on board with Hurts moving from Norman to Philly.
Doug, were you on board with the Jalen Hurts draft pick when it happened?
Yes, I was. Why?
Yeah, so, because I'm wondering, because it hasn't really exactly played out the way you guys originally, at least the way that Howie originally said that he would be utilized on offense, and it seems to have undermined you to some extent and Carson Wentz.
No, I don't understand where you're coming from. You know, because every year we look at quarterbacks. Every year if we have an opportunity to take a quarterback, we're going to take a quarterback. At least look at the position. I mean, every position is looked at and studied, and wherever we can help and add talent and depth, we're going to do that. And the quarterback position is not exempt from that.
No, it is not. On the way, what should the college football playoff do about Ohio State? The answer from the ultimate Michigan man next.
It's not anybody's fault, but trying to evaluate a team that has 4 games in versus a team that has 7, 8, or 9 games in is definitely a problem.
More from Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin next.
How about